typical German. We had to have a German car. Why would you get a BMW? You know, so this is the kind of stuff they would say. It was like they were shocked. So I was always kind of like, you know, I loved the idea of having a German car.
Welcome to Classic Heart, the BMW Group Classic Podcast. My name is JP, and today we have the great honor of speaking with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
This car is the most honest car you ever see.
It's been a dream ever since I've had it.
The first time I heard that engine screaming, I thought, I gotta have one of those.
For me, the cars have personality.
What's great about a BMW Classic is the community that surrounds it.
When you listen to that, that's why we're here.
In addition to everything Arnold Schwarzenegger has achieved in his life, he has always been a big advocate for e-mobility. And he has his very own BMW story. He will tell us more about that. Welcome, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I have no idea how you got here, why you're sitting here on my couch, why you're smoking a stogie with me. I'm totally confused now. I mean, we just like literally a minute ago driving a BMW.
Yes, a 1600.
Yeah, so that I understood.
Yes.
That we both are BMW fanatics about the old cars. I drove a 1600 when I was like 23 years old. So we talked about that. But this is great. Now we can continue our conversation.
And I'm super happy that we do so. Arnold, it's actually not quite a secret that you have a passion for cars. You love cars. But when you grew up in this little town of Thal in Austria, what is your earliest automotive memory?
So first of all, let's just establish the fact that I was born in 1947.
No, you're joking.
So when I grew up, there was maybe 3 cars that drove by our house a day.
3?
Yeah, 3. The most. And one of the cars was the car, a Volkswagen, that the farmer had next door. So that was my memory. It was kind of like that Volkswagen. And then there was other one, was someone with a Citroën, and there was someone with an old BMW, a doctor.
Of course.
So every Wednesday, the doctors were not in session. It was their day off. And so he would come with his fishing rod.
Yeah.
And he would go fishing to a dike, to a little pond.
Yeah.
Yeah, not far away from my house. And so those are the cars that I saw. And then what I saw when it comes to bigger cars, trucks, was the military trucks.
Yeah.
So the British would be occupying that area at that time, and then there was also Austrian military. They were training with the British in orders after the Second World War. And so there was, they stopped at the house where I grew up, and they sometimes put us kids up under the tank.
Yes.
And up in a truck and gave us candies and, you know, worked on the relationships with the community and all that stuff. And I think that's where my fascination came from, driving big military vehicles like Hummers and Oshkosh, and having a tank myself. The tank that I used to drive in the military that I trained on, that's the tank I have now in the Melody Ranch over here in Los Angeles.
Wow.
It's like a 50-ton tank, and I think my fascination never went away. So when I was in the military, I always wanted to become a tank driver, and they said, well, you're too tall. And I think my father's connections kind of helped me become a tank driver, even though I was 6 feet.
Yeah.
And you can only be like up to 5'10" or 5'8" or something like that. But I fit in there. It was perfectly fine.
Super. And was there like a dream car for you at that time? I mean, as you said, only 3 cars come around, but I could imagine that the doctor with the BMW could be also inspiring character for you.
Yeah, it could easily be. But I mean, at that time, it was just very abnormal to see a car.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like wild, you know. So people drove with bicycles, even a moped a motorcycle was kind of unusual. And so we kids just really kind of all gathered together when we saw a motorcycle or a car or anything like that, and just listened to all the conversations that the grown-ups had, because the farmer next door, he would be pulling out his car. Then he would explain to everyone, they said, yeah, it has so many horsepower. And then people try to figure that out. Wait a minute, it has 74 horsepower. This means like it needs 74 horses to pull this car. So it was all, I mean, wild when you think about how far we have come in those kind of 70 years.
Yes.
Because at that point I was like 3, 4, 5, 7 years old, and now I'm 77. And you know what I have now witnessed, and as far as technology goes, you know, that now you have cars that are not talking about 74 horsepower, but they're talking about 1,400 horsepower.
It's crazy, no?
You know, I had a Bugatti for a while. There was like 1,400 horsepower.
Yeah.
I mean, you can never use it. You can even use half of it.
Yes.
But yeah, in a race truck, yes. But not what I do driving-wise. And that's why eventually I got rid of it, because it was kind of like, what am I doing with this car?
Yes.
I mean, it's like, I can only use like a third of its talent that it has, you know.
But I mean, the car also is a symbol of freedom and independence, because look at the time when we're speaking about when you grew up and got 15 to 20, or like, let's say 15, something like the BMW 700, the Volkswagen Beetle, they made it possible that ordinary people could afford a car and go to places they've never been. Like they can go to Italy, even from northern Germany, I drove down to Italy and have a fantastic time in Italy. So I think that's this kind of democratization of mobility is a very important part of our society. And how do you see the car back then? Meant the car also freedom for you? Like that you're not dependent on a schedule of a train, of a bus. You can decide when I want to go, where I want to go, like with your first own car?
My first car I owned was when I was in Munich.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the thing to do.
Yes.
It was kind of like, you know, I was training in the gym, in the bodybuilding gym. And guys would come in frequently that I would work out with and says, oh, I just finally got a car. I just bought myself a used, you know, DKW.
Yeah.
Or I bought myself a used Opel. I bought myself a used Volkswagen, a BMW. Whatever it was, and it was kind of like, wow. So what are we doing the weekend? Let's go out to the Starnberger See. You know, so then he started organizing trips and stuff like that. So I was not yet part of that mix.
Yes.
But then eventually, like a half year after living in Munich, I did get a car, because one of my friends who was in the insurance business said to me, he said, hey, I sell you my Opel, because I'm going to get another one, an upgrade. I can sell it for 1,300 marks.
Yeah.
Where you had a big rust hole in the front and the fender, and it looked all, you know, screwed up. But I mean, 1,300 marks, that was a deal. I could pay that off over a period of a year.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, let's make a payment plan. I said, I'll give you, you know, a 12th each month.
Yeah.
And let's just do it. And so we make the deal, and then there was having this car now, and I'm driving now in Munich, right? And so it felt kind of like I'm part of the club.
Yes.
You know, the young boys club that are finally slowly making it in life. Having a car was one of the things, a sign that you're making it.
A car is actually a bit similar like this, because the car doesn't know any gender, they doesn't know any passport where you're coming from. A car only understands good driver or bad driver. And I think it's in a sense the same deal. And the car you just owned in the US, and we are the BMW Group Classic podcast, so we need to speak about the 1600 you owned here. Was it your first car in the US?
It was the first car I owned in the US. It was not the first car I drove. First car I drove was a Volkswagen.
Okay.
So it happened to be that I drove by all the time this BMW dealership in Santa Monica. And I always saw kind of the same kind of cars. in the window. And then one day, I saw two new cars. Both of them were beige. So they were kind of like brand new. You could see there was like a sparkle there. And so I went in. I checked it out. So the guy was kind of like showing me around. He said, we just got them in. One is the 1600, one is the 2002. And told me the differences. And so I loved the 2002, but I couldn't afford it. And so I then looked more and more at the 1600, and he said to me, he says, it's the first car, you will love it. Mm-hmm. You will never be disappointed. So it was fantastic getting this new car. It felt good having a new car. I showed off immediately to the gym members, my friends, my training partners, the new car. It made me feel really good.
And what did the guys in the gym said when you drove up with this brand new BMW? Look at him, Arnold made it. Another time.
Typical German. You know, he had to have a German car. I mean, it's like so typical of those people over there. You know, so this is the kind of stuff they would say. And they couldn't figure out all the cars that were available in America. You know, the used Corvette or something like that. Why would he get a BMW? It was like they were shocked.
So BMW always developed new things like the Vision Neue Klasse or the Vision Neue Klasse X. So full electric cars. And that's also a big leap forward. What is your personal take on e-mobility?
Well, when I was governor, we have stressed it very heavily to make it part of the overall plan of reducing greenhouse gases. I was totally committed to kind of join the European community in their drive to reduce greenhouse gases by 25% and to kind of roll it back to the 1990 level. Mm-hmm. So that's what England has done, and some other countries, they have kind of united over there. And so I got in touch with the British and asked them to help us here craft a bill.
Yeah.
And we were successful in doing that. And we were very serious about reducing our greenhouse gases and rolling it back to the 1990 level by 25% reduction.
I mean, were the strictest laws in the world at that time. You introduced here, and I think this was also the roadmap for the Kyoto Protocol and things like that, right?
They're still the strictest laws because every other country and every other state has talked about it, but no one really has followed through in the same way as we did, because we have an Air Resources Board. And so we had the Air Resources Board, which is an independent commission. That board has really followed through, and we actually were 2 years early with our goals. So we in 2018 rather than 2020, 2018 we already had a reduction of 25% of greenhouse gases. Mm-hmm. Now the way you get there is, of course, instead of having natural gas or having oil, kind of produce the energy, we built up the renewables from 19% to 50% of renewables. Yeah. And we created the Million Solar Roof initiative so that people were going to buy solar roofs and investing, and we gave them incentives, $5,000 or so from our PUC, from the Public Utilities Commission. Yeah. And so all of that really kind of took off like wildfire. And so we really reached our goals very quickly, much faster than anyone else and much faster than we even thought. And so California is now still the leader, and eventually by 2040 or 2050, we will be absolutely carbon neutral here in California. So other countries talk about it. Yeah. Other countries joined the treaty in Paris in 2015, and they celebrated a huge victory. We all united and we all made a commitment to reducing greenhouse gases, but 70% of the countries didn't do it. So shame on them. But the bottom line is there are some of them that did it, and there was really great advance. And BMW is not a country.
No.
So they didn't sign on, but they did sign on morally. They signed on and said to themselves, well, we're going to do our part. And so they started really kicking in, even though they had already in 1972 an electric car at the Olympics and showed it off
True.
in Munich. But they now really started kicking in the last few years. As a matter of fact, I just recently was in Steyr in Austria,
Yes.
where they are building those engines, those electric engines. And it is fantastic when you see the work that is going on in that direction. So BMW made a real decision to say we want to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. And that is fantastic.
And do you think that electric mobility would be part of this, like guide us into this solution?
I would say that it is very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And we just have to find now ways of creating the electricity in a green way. So we don't go and produce the electricity with oil and coal and then have the car batteries be charged up from that dirty fuel.
Yeah.
Because then we only have half the victory. Because instead of going to the pump, where you then use twice as much, spew twice as much greenhouse gases, I think that you don't want to have just half of the victory, you want to have the full victory, which is get the energy for the cars in a green way, just like in California.
Yeah.
California, when you go now and fuel and charge up your battery, it's green energy. That's the important thing.
Yeah. So reduce emissions,
Yeah.
100%. That's
right,
the
yeah.
point. And did you drive electric cars from time to time?
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I turned my Hummer.
Really?
There was a gas guzzling, or I should say diesel guzzling car engine with 500 horsepower. I turned that into an electric engine. I sent it to Austria, to a company that was expert in the conversion. We converted it. It is now a 500 horsepower electric engine.
Wow.
So you can do that with any car that you want.
Yes.
Of course, I love that. And I'm, as a matter of fact, now inspiring other car companies, just like BMW, to go and build electric engines.
On our little tour, on our little drive, you spoke about present and future, and you said that I live in the present and have a view on the future, right? And you, in a little movie that you made for BMW, you met something that I really like is a BMW Vision Dee, and you had this fantastic conversation about the glorious day in the past and things like this. And Dee was in a conversation with you, like the car, this concept was in a conversation with you, and you were arguing the point, saying, yeah, you know what? It's the car. You have your first memories, the first kiss, the first drive, the first thing you imagined. And with this other cars nowadays, it might be not the same. What would you say to people that always live in the back, that love, these good old days? Do you remember when we had this? What is the message to them from your side?
I would say keep thinking that way. Because you don't want to change people. I mean, you may want to say to them, besides just looking at the past, you maybe also want to, focus on the future.
Yeah.
You maybe want to add, but don't give up what you do. Because I think by nature, we are people that live in the past or in the future. Like, to me, it's not my fault that I am only in the future.
Yeah.
I don't get up in the morning and make this my goal. I just know that when I look at photo albums, I never ever look at them.
Really?
I never go back and look at the photo album. I have no interest in it at all to see what I looked like in 1975 or the contest that I won in 1980, nor do I have an interest in celebrating something from the past.
Yeah.
Or thinking about, what was it like when I was governor? What do I care what it was like? What I'm thinking about is, what do I do in the future to make this a better world? What can I do environmentally to make it a better world? What can I do with the Schwarzenegger Institute at USC,
Yes.
at the University of Southern California, and to go and teach young kids how to go and be inclusive, study policy, solve problems, and solve them together. These are the things that I want to kind of accomplish in the future. How do we go and create more equality? How do we make sure that the person that is poor can afford health care and can afford to go to a gymnasium and train and do all of those things? You know, this is to me, there's so many kind of unanswered questions. How do we provide homes for the homeless?
Yeah.
So to me, it's all about moving forward, and how do we improve things is to me kind of fascinating.
Would you say, I mean, there's a phrase which says, a youth is a period of time where you don't really understand what youth means. What would you say to the young generation to appreciate youth in your seniority you have now?
I mean, retirement means I'm giving up something. Why would we give up anything? I mean, you know, when you're 6 feet under, then you have to give up everything.
Yeah, done.
So, I mean, so why start chipping away on that early on? So I think it is important that we keep that youth and to keep that young energy and that young mentality and to work on that all the time. How do we do that? How do we feel young and how do we feel energetic rather than going down that track of slowing down, moving less, doing less, and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. What is the secret that you realized, that you envisioned? Okay, I want to be Hercules one day. I want to be the best bodybuilder in the world. Where does this energy come from? How do you go that path?
Oh, that I don't know where it comes from. But I have learned very quickly that you need a clear vision in order to really accomplish anything.
Yes.
And so those people that don't have a goal have no place to go. And so therefore they end up unhappy.
Yeah.
The same is I found out when I said I want to be a world champion in bodybuilding. I had a very clear vision because I saw Reg Park and I saw him winning. I saw him on that stage. I saw him getting the trophy and to do his pose, Mr. Universe. So I said, so that's what I have to look like. And this is the way I have to train, just like him. So there was a plan and a vision. And I would not have gotten there by accident. And the same was also getting into movies. The same was running for governor. The same was with everything that I ever did was I had to have a clear vision because it's see it, believe it, achieve it. This is the way it is, right?
Yeah.
You have to see it
I like
first
that.
and you have to believe it 100% that you can get there and then achieve it.
In this podcast, we have a little thing that's called the pit stop. And that's questions, which is this or that. And I would like you to answer very quickly with not too much thinking. Let's go into the pit stop, Arnold. Are you ready? I think you're always ready. Coupe or limousine?
SUV.
Fine with me. Limousine or station wagon?
SUV.
Mint condition or enthusiastically driven?
Enthusiastically driven.
Always. Driving alone or with passengers?
Passengers.
Driving or being driven?
Driving.
Car sharing or no car?
Car sharing.
Road trip or racetrack?
Road trip.
Pacific Coast Highway or Trail Ridge Road in the Rocky Mountains?
Pacific Coast Highway.
Manual or automatic?
Automatic.
Manual or pedal shifters?
Automatic.
Petrol or diesel?
Electric.
Petrol or electric?
Electric.
Electric or no car? Electric.
Electric, yeah.
Engine in the front or in the back?
Doesn't matter.
Instead of engine. Left-hand drive or center drive?
Left-hand drive.
Can also be a motorcycle, but I leave that on. Sell or keep?
Keep.
And this is one that I really like. Humvee or Pinzgauer six-wheeler?
Pinzgauer six-wheeler.
Radio on or off while driving?
On.
Donkey or pony?
Both.
Bench press or push-up?
Bench press.
And now the most important one, I'm very happy to say that. Hasta la vista or I'll be back?
I'll be back.
Let's speak about hasta la vista and I'll be back. I mean, it's fascinating, Arnold, that this I'll be back has become synonymous for so many things. I mean, I say it sometimes when I finish my conversations with friends. I said, I'll be back.
Well, I think people have said it in history, I'll be back, but I mean, no one kind of like paid any attention to it. It was only because the way I say it and what the circumstances were in the movie. And I knew right away there was something off there. Because when the movie came out, people would come up to me and they would say, can you repeat that line that you said in the movie? I said, which line? I'll be back line. I said, well, I'll be back. No, the way you said it in the movie. And I said, what do you mean the way I said it in the movie? But the way you said it in the movie, say it like that. And I said, I'll be back. And he said, yeah. Oh my God. And then the kid would run away. And he would say, oh my God, Schwarzenegger just said, I'll be back. Oh my God. And I looked at this guy and said, what is going on here? I mean, I didn't think there was any special thing. But then of course, it became the most repeated line.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And besides that amazing lines, I mean, I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say that thanks to you, the Humvee became a private car, right?
Well, it became a civilian car.
Sorry, that language barrier.
No, but civilian car. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Private
so how did that happen?
Well, it was just that I saw it driving on a road, like a whole, it was like 50 Hummers in a row driving.
Yeah.
And I just looked at it and I said, no, that's a car. That's an SUV. And the reason why I fell in love with it was because I felt like that car does not need any extra work.
Yeah. Done.
Because I said to myself, everyone that has a Jeep puts bigger wheels on it, or they put bigger fenders on it, or they put this on it, or that. No matter what the SUV is, they change it to make it ballsier. I said, this is as ballsy as it can get. So I said to myself, let's find out, where we can buy one like that. And then I was told that it's a contract that Hummer has with the Pentagon.
Yeah.
And therefore, only the Pentagon can have it. So I was at that time the chairman of the President's Council on Fitness under President Bush.
Yeah.
So I was good friends with Dick Cheney and with Colin Powell. And I asked them to get me the permits and to write a letter to Hummer and to say they can build one for me. And they did. And I got a Hummer. So then I went and took the Hummer and took it to a coach builder that built the inside legal.
Yeah.
So with no metal parts. So when you have an accident, you don't bang your head against some sharp metal part. So to make it all padded and to make it legal and to put air conditioning in it and to really make it a civilian car. And then I sent it back to Hummer.
Yeah.
And I said, look at this car, study it. That's how actually you could build a few thousand limited edition Hummers for civilian market. It makes some extra money, guys. Come on. And so they said, oh, we love it. And they got the permission from the Pentagon to do that. So they built 2,000, and that was it. The rest is history.
In the docuseries Arnold on Netflix, which I really enjoyed, very cool. You said about your house in the mountains, it's Austrian warmth and American size. Do you think it fits also as a description for you a little bit?
I'm Austrian born and American made. Made in America. Born in Austria, made in America. So that's what I always say about myself.
Very on point, I would say.
Yeah.
Would you like to be anyone else than Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No. That's as good as it comes.
Very good.
Yeah, just because I'm a happy guy and I have a happy life and have everything that I want. And, people always say to me, isn't it sad that you couldn't run for president? after I was governor.
Yeah.
And I said, that is sad. I said, but I would never dwell on it. I said, because every single thing that I accomplished was because of America.
Yeah.
So the only thing that I can't accomplish, I'm not going to go and dwell on that and be upset about it, right? So it's as simple as that. So I thank America for everything, and my European upbringing, the strict upbringing, strict education and all that stuff I love. Without that, I wouldn't be where I am today.
And any unfinished business? Anything you would like to achieve?
Everything is unfinished.
Good.
Everything we have to. That's what keeps us busy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Arnold, thank you very much for taking the
Absolutely.
time. That means a lot. And that's it from Classic
Good.
Heart here from Los Angeles at a fantastic place, which is peaceful. And if you hear some noises in the background, animal noises, that's because we live in a zoo. And this is a lovely zoo. From everything 4-leg and 2-legs, everyone's very happy and welcoming here. So thank you very much you for joining, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, because I bloody did, and there's no doubt about it. Thank you very much. Arnold, thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect.